Welcome to episode 23 of Illuminating Rounds. Martin, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, Dave. Yeah, no, and welcome to everyone.
Yeah, you're looking taller than you were last time out. That hair has
That's
grown,
the trick of the camera position. Yeah.
and the hair that's growing upwards. There'll be a certain point where it starts to grow forwards, but yeah. How you been anyway?
Yeah, no, pretty good. Yeah, Mum's not been well. It's been a bit of a stressful week, one way or another, but
Yep.
things are under control. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm back, raring to go.
Good.
And it's not going to grow forward. I'm going to keep it really short. I think when it gets another millimetre, I'm just going to shave it again.
Oh, really? That's it now. It's
Yeah.
the end
Just
of
keep
the.
it like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Every man goes into that at some point, doesn't they? They just give up and that's it. I keep noticing mine seems to be getting a little bit thinner now here. It's going away. So oh well, never
Shave
mind.
it off, mate. Shave it off.
Yeah, it won't be long. So we should say thanks to everyone who joined us for the live game last week. We had a great time
Yeah.
with the caves and the amphibians. We messed up as many rules as we got right. I think we messed up quite a lot, didn't we? But it was a tough game, and we know that the last hour and a half then didn't end up getting recorded on YouTube. So we should perhaps just cover over what happened there. So I mean, what was your thoughts of that one, by the way? I mean, we didn't really have a wrap up of it. I think we were both exhausted.
Yeah, no. So, well, really enjoyed it. It was brilliant. I mean, I think by the time we'd finished, I had a much better idea of how to play it as the Americans.
Yep.
It wasn't very close in the end, was it? It was quite a clear victory for you, I think, at the very end there.
Yeah.
But I was just beginning to catch on really how to kind of like break the guys in the caves and stuff like that. So I think
Right.
if I'd have done that a little bit more quickly, I think we would have it might have been a bit closer. And also, I think I underestimated the force I needed to go and kind of get the two squads off as well. So I allowed enough too much of your force to get back there and stop me from getting off in that very sort of narrow exit area.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I did a bit of feedback after the game about what the Marines should be doing more of, and a lot of that was based around white phosphorus into the caves. Those Marines have white phosphorus, and using that to throw in.
I wanted to use white phosphorus. The problem with white phosphorus is that they do gain the TM of the cave unless you roll a 1 on the coloured dice roll on to hit, isn't it? So
yeah, something like that.
It's only a 1 in 6 chance of it being strikingly successful, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, but it really did kind of show how difficult that it was for the Marines. The other thing we got a little bit wrong, we didn't have the when the amphibians were out of the water, they have to roll a normal task check each turn. Otherwise, they're recalled. The guys can jump out. And one of the biggest rule we got wrong was that when any vehicle is recalled, they are allowed to stop and unload their passengers first. Yeah. And that was a big.
We took them off with the guys still aboard, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't fight you too hard when you were going off with them, but.
To be honest, those two rules sort of cancel each other out, don't they? Because I could have lost one of those amphibians earlier if we'd played that correctly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I did lose an amphibian, it was a bit more costly. So
yeah, you took a lot of troops with it, didn't it? So
I
think I got the better half of that, but it was in terms of the scenario, and I think I had a brief chat to Indy on the forums. The scenario wasn't great from a Japanese point of view. There wasn't a lot that I could do after the setup.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, and I think sometimes caves are a little bit like that, where you just kind of set your guys up, and then you fire. And you might have. I mean, I think I had one difficult move to make, which was whether I pull back on the tunnel or not. And that's really the challenge, isn't it? It's how much of it is in the setup and how much of it is in the play of the scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh well. So towards the end, then, so what happened? So for those that didn't get to see the end of the scenario.
Yeah, it was very so basically I could still technically, I think on the last turn I could still have got you out of enough of the caves, although as it happens I think I didn't, but I had like some reasonable shots on all the caves. There was a reasonable chance of me capturing the caves, but the reason that I couldn't win on the last turn I think was because you had totally blocked off the 2 hex exit area. And I sent some troops that needed to kind of win an ambush and then push through. to sort of try and get off, but I think you broke them as they were running towards you. So that was the end. We never got to do those sort of final close combats. But there were 2 victory conditions, and actually, you actually won both of them, and I only had to win one, I think.
Right.
No, is that right?
You had to win both.
I had to win both, but actually you won both of the victory conditions. So it was, it was quite clearly a Japanese victory.
Yeah. Well, 6 people, 6 Patreons predicted that I would win. So you could do the honours on a 1 to 6. So well done to Jim, Toxteth, Indy, ML, Kevin Duval, and Tom Rapetti for predicting that the Japanese would win. Martin is going to do a...
So I'm going to roll a single dice for this, and you can't see what I'm doing, but you can trust me because I want all of you to lose.
We can see we can see the reflection in your glasses. We know.
Yes.
What you're doing?
It's a 4.
A 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Morris again. So Morris is going to get some more counters from Broken Ground. So he's a double winner in our eyes. So well done, Morris. All right. So I will be in touch. And we'll get him some more cans over. Good segue, really. We're going to be playing. Well, I'm playing in the Double One tournament this weekend. That Morris and Simon and who else is this? There's 3 of them doing it. I should remember now who this is. I've got to give the right shout outs to people. So, but I'm playing in the Double One tournament, and it's a group tournament where everybody plays everybody in the group. So it's Gary as well. So. So those guys are doing the Double One. So I'm playing Martin Vicker, I'm playing Matthew Ellis, I'm playing Sam Pryor all this weekend. I don't know Matthew, but I know Sam and Martin, and they are good players. So
there's at least one game you might win, depending on what Matthew's like. Then
I'll let him know you told him that. I'll tell him how to win friends. Yeah. So this week we are going to play, and we're going to go through a game we played called Bread Factory number 2. From Red Barricades. We had played this years ago and have gone back into it. It's the most popular small scenario from Red Barricades, not a campaign game. So always good to dip our toe back into Stalingrad. Completely different from the brutality of the amphibious assault. This is just brutality on a different scale. Big kill stacks. And stuff like that. So we'll go through that one. And we're also going to talk about the top annuals, our top 5 annuals. And this is because you've just picked up all the annuals from Multiman Publishing, Martin.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very easy to do. I can't remember how much it was now. It was about sort of
$40, is it?
Yeah, something like that. Yep. Very easy to do. You can buy them online, download them. Download takes a while because it's about sort of 600-page PDF. And then you've got them all, and then they're all pristine. Everything looks great. There are links. I didn't think there were at first, but there are links, so that does make navigating such a big document a bit easier. So you can skip from the contents directly to any of the articles. Struggling a little bit to find a way of finding the scenarios quickly. But it may be that I just haven't worked out how to do that yet. But it took a bit of time sort of scrolling through looking for individual scenarios.
And this brought up the question about how good value the annuals are and were at the time as well. Because I think they were pretty good value at the time. So now obviously if you haven't got the annuals, this is a perfect chance to pick them up. But also a question of whether we think that the scenarios should be in the magazines. Because we know now that the latest journals have taken the scenarios out of the magazines. Any thoughts on whether you like them in or out of the magazine themselves?
Yeah, not straightforward thoughts though, because I love them being in the magazine because then it becomes a part of the magazine. It's not just a sort of separate thing. You get a bunch of scenarios and you get the magazine. They kind of all goes together when they flick through. Some some of them, for example, feature a couple of parachute scenarios, and there's an article about parachute drops. It sort of makes it sort of one thing. And in fact, I think when we used to play more, we used to often, say a journal came out, we would play the scenarios in that, virtually all of them. So you kind of you're kind of linking the enjoyment of your play to that particular sort of magazine.
Yep.
But on the other hand, it's actually really useful to have them in a ring binder or something, isn't it? So I know. I can see advantages to both, really.
I
What's your
would.
thoughts?
Okay, so yeah, I prefer them inside the magazine rather than
Yeah,
outside. I've got enough scenarios in ring binders that I don't
yeah,
necessarily need more. And I like the idea of having a little self-contained packet of something that I can flick through. Not because, half the time I enjoy reading articles, but I do enjoy looking at scenarios, and I enjoy
yeah,
reading SSRs and just seeing, this is something I would play or not play, or why wouldn't I play that? So I liked what they did. I think it was in Journal 11. I can't remember, but they put them in and out of the magazine, so you had them printed and unprinted. But that felt a bit of a waste. I always think if you really wanted them outside, you could always photocopy them and put them into a binder
yeah. You can always scan them, can't you?
if you had to. So yeah, I mean, what I think what I love at the moment is that for any of these the annuals that we've got, it's just a discrete package. It's one little pack that you can pick up, and if you want to go off, read somewhere, it's it's all there. You're not missing
Yeah,
anything, and that's kind of what I liked. So,
yeah.
but having said that, we both looked at all the annuals this week, and I think we were both struck by how good the content is in most of them. I think they're really quite strong.
I think that's true. I mean, I don't really look back at them anymore, and being sort of made to for this, trying to pick a top five, I struggle
Yep.
to eliminate
Yep.
anything because every single one's got amazing kind of real nuggets, real gold
Yep.
nuggets of articles and
Yep.
scenarios in them. I kind of like discounted some of the earlier ones because a lot of them are still supporting squad leader, and that stuff is still kind of quite interesting sometimes for all sorts of reasons. But
Yeah.
it's like for example, I was telling you about that commando campaign
Yep.
that is in 92, I think. I think it looks really, really interesting, but it's for squad leader.
Yeah,
So I
and
enjoyed looking at it, but yeah,
I would love to know if anyone knows if that has been converted to ASL, because that
yeah,
looks like a tremendous campaign. In terms of the detail they went to, and there's 13 different scenarios in there, and
absolutely. I mean, it'd be weeks of play, I think, if you
yeah,
work through all of those 13 scenarios,
yeah.
including
And
picking your.
do you know what the order of picking the scenarios was? Was it a case of you've got to work through them one by one, or is it a case of different scenarios are picked?
I think the idea is you pick them all. You play
Okay.
them all in order. They're just various commando raids in the north, in
Okay.
sort of the North Sea.
Right. Right.
Norway, France, and places like that. And then there's an element to which sort of leaders, I think, and equipment and things. The casualties that you suffer kind of like have an impact on the next scenario.
Right.
But basically, you pick your force for each scenario. You get 9,000 points or whatever it is, and pick the Germans pick their defences and the commandos pick their attack force.
Okay. Okay.
Looks really interesting.
Does look interesting. So yeah, if anyone knows if that's been converted, please let us know. That sounds would be a good fun thing to at least try. One of the things as I noticed as well in there when we flicked through them all was the leader campaign, where you have your one leader and you kind of progress him up through the ranks. And I was reading in the article that guy who did it, he had 194 scenarios that he played it through, and he tracked his best leader and his how he got on. And I know we did that a little while, and we had our little Dave and Martin leaders that we kind of brought in. And I wonder if there's any appetite to do that again, or is it a case of it changes the scenario too much potentially, or is there too much focus on the leader and not on the scenario?
I think things like that. I mean, it's attempting to put a sort of a role-playing kind of element into the game, isn't it? And I think it's fine, but obviously it skews the scenarios. You start with like a 7-0, don't you? Which
right.
perhaps might have some, but perhaps a relatively minor impact. But if you're very successful at promoting them, you could be bringing your 9-2 to the next game.
Yep.
There's no way that's going to be
Yeah.
balanced by adding a counter like that. I don't think you do it for balance purposes. I think you do it because if you kind of be interested in it. Me and hang on, sorry. So I did do this with somebody. Me and a friend did it. I was Nick Ransom. Me and Nick Ransom did it, and we had. And I think we kind of lost interest because it's quite difficult to promote them.
Right.
They have to take a lot of chances to get promoted.
Right. I seem to remember. Yeah.
Take out tanks in close combat single-handedly is like that kind of thing. But of course, the more you do things like that, the more likely you are to lose them.
Right.
So we found that Az just died.
Yeah, yeah.
And we kind of lost interest in it. Yeah.
I think you're right in that if one person, even if you both escalate them both up to 9-2s, and then a sniper hits one of yours, and you're back to a 7-0, and someone, it does sound like it's a bit disastrous.
Yeah. But that's just a part of the story, isn't it? That's it. If you spent weeks building up to a 9-2, and then he gets hit by a sniper, that's the story. That's the game.
The ball going flying up, and
that doesn't actually matter. It's but
changed my mind now.
Certainly unbalanced scenarios. Yeah, but
don't want to play that anymore.
It wouldn't be particularly bothered as long as we enjoyed the game. Perhaps.
Yeah, it wouldn't be seething would be. All right, so let's talk about top 5 annuals then. Okay, so difficult, very very difficult choice. So I guess I'll start with number 5, and that was 93B. So annual 93B was the Gavutu Tamumbago campaign.
Brilliant, perfect pronunciation.
I could have been from Gavutu Tamumbago, shouldn't I? You thought that. So other than the fact that was a really nice thing that they put in that, it's a nice type campaign, a little bit different, a little bit more lighter weight than some of the heavier weight campaigns. There's some really good articles in this. Obviously, the Sand and Blood campaign is the kind of key thing there. But there was also the talk about the previous tournaments that they did. And it has the scenario that is the number 1 rated scenario from all the annuals, which is Monte Castello, which looks really interesting. I've not played this, but it's Germans in caves up against Brazilian counters represented as American counters. So I think, Martin, this is something we've got to play at some point.
I agree.
There's the balance, which is really funny for the Brazilians, is to institute the Alpine Hill rules, which is a really interesting balance scenario.
Yeah,
as a balance proposition. So yeah, I thought this was a really good scenario set of scenarios. Counter-Stroke at Ston, the Dinant Bruchage are good scenarios. I know these are very impressive, and so yeah, I was quite pleased with the fact that it doesn't really feel to have aged at all. This is the great thing about the annuals, that they are still fairly standard in their layouts of scenarios and things like that. The average rating 7.14 for all the scenarios in the pack is the highest of all the annuals, and there's about 364 hours worth of play in one. I mean, obviously now that's mostly taken up by the campaign game in there, but even if you take that out, it's still over 150 hours of scenarios that are playable in there. So 93B for me was number 5.
Amazing. Yeah. Didn't you say as well it was in 93 that you had the kind of swap from the longer style scenarios, and they seem to be that from about 93 onwards they're sort of 6 turns.
Definitely 90. Yeah, from 93 was the kind of the end of the long scenarios, and they kind of started to bring them back down again. So yeah, if you look at certainly the 93A one, which was 10.9 hours on average for each scenario. And then you go all the way down to the 96, 97, which are 5.1, 5.3 hours. So there was definitely a closing down of the sizes.
All right. So I'll talk about number 4 then.
Yeah.
So I chose for number 4, 93A, which is the same year as, of course, the one that you chose for number 5.
Yeah.
Some really, really good scenarios in here, and a whole series of very, very varied articles. I thought all very, very good. So if I just mention perhaps a couple of the scenarios, you've got the Dassel 25 Sicilian Midnight, which actually I think there's a feature of that in one of the Out of the Attics, isn't there, which describes that does a sort of plays that through basically. And what I really like about that, it's a night scenario, but you've got 667 American squads cloaked, moving on these 347 Italian squads for some close combat and things like that. I think it'd be I'd love to play it. It'd be a really interesting one to play. There's also a detailed discussion of a scenario called Probing Lay Force. Now, I played this against you, Dave, and you were absolutely broken by the end of this game. In fact,
You've broken me. If I had a pound for every time you broke me.
you conceded this halfway through, and I don't remember the details. I do remember you kind of have the Germans coming over like a series of hills, and I have this sort of force of British, including I think a tank, trying to sort of hold you back in each of these valleys. And I seem to remember you doing really well, and then you just suddenly going home or something.
So I said to you, what I did was I would look at my comments on the Scenario Archive for what I said about the game, and I just said a long way for the Germans to go. It was looking good until the fire face from hell for the British, and I can see me just contemplate that on the drive home from your house, thinking never again. That
was quite cool.
This annual has a great episode article on bypass as well. Which is worth mentioning.
Beating About the Bush by Philippe Linard. Yeah, and that goes through it. I mean, I had a look through that. I mean, that's the sort of thing I think that it would make sense to have a list of articles like that you perhaps periodically go back and read through, because it just explains it completely. Everything you need to, and every little thing that's sometimes a little bit awkward, like how the covered arc are they, and how far they're allowed to turn their guns when they're bypassing buildings. Those sorts of things that people sometimes, I find a little bit more difficult sometimes to remember accurately. It's all explained there perfectly.
Totsugeki is a very well-renowned scenario. Japanese-Chinese A60, and we've played as well. We played Smith and Wesson from this one, didn't we? We played this. This was the Japanese against the Americans, wasn't it? We played up with the paths and through the big jungle that we played. On this very show.
Also, nice article, Tank Warfare in ASL, Bruce E. Backen. And again, this seems to be, I'm ashamed I didn't know it was there. It's almost like sort of exactly what you should be sort of reading on top of the rule book to kind of make sure that you've kind of like got things right. And actually, there's also an interesting article by a guy called Guy Cheney, who's written lots of scenarios about scenario design.
Okay.
I mean, I've definitely played a few Guy Cheney scenarios. I mean, it's quite possible that he's given me more joy than the 15 years of marriage or whatever. It's absolutely possible. And I thought, and I kind of looking through that, he talks actually about some of the scenarios he's designed. He also talks about kind of the life of a designer, sort of like reading a lot of military history and things like that. And I think if you put that article with like the book by Dorosh, is it Michael?
Yep.
Yeah, Michael Dorosh and Mark Pitcaviage, who of course both wrote books that they're available now for purchase on scenario design. It's a good way in.
Yep, sounds good. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, trip down memory lane for your marriage. So, number 2, the annual 96. Now, this one in particular for the articles. The articles here, so all about the weather, which is great. And you were saying you've met or played Tim Hunsdorfer?
I've never played Tim. Tim Hunsdorfer, sometimes, because he lives in Europe, I think he lives in France, often goes to the summer tournament that you're going to play, as a Vassal version of this weekend. Okay. Very, very, very sort of friendly, intelligent guy. I've never played him, but I didn't know he'd written this article.
Right. Stop and Go Traffic, which is probably the best article around motion, non-stop moving that Ole Bo had written. There's an article about CX. There's the gliders. There's the trick tips on caves and cave complexes in here as well. So some excellent articles. And there's some really good scenarios. So Mayhem in Manila is a kind of classic scenario for deluxe, but also for learning Japanese because you're playing Japanese without the PTO terrain. So
there's a very good playthrough of that on the 2 half squads. And the 2 half squads got a couple of like renowned players. I can't remember who they are now, but that's certainly one to look up if you were interested in. Yeah,
there's a nice, I suppose, timely article really about the Croix de Guerre scenarios in here as well. Now I know they've been re-released and some of them have been tweaked a little bit, but really good in-depth stuff by Mark Nixon, who is a real heavyweight of ASL. So this set of scenarios, and again, we said before we should make an episode all around one scenario or one annual, and we definitely should do it. But even then, how would we pick the scenario to play from that one particular annual? It's a challenge. There's the other one I should mention, which was for our Balau. You happen to know what that means in Irish?
I know what it means because it says on the scenario card, it's clear the way, and it is the sort of battle cry of the Irish Brigade, as it is called on that scenario card.
Okay. Well, I thought you knew it from something else other than the scenario card. I thought you were just giving me your...
I don't know how you pronounce it for Boloch, perhaps.
Brilliant. Good stuff. Okay. Well, anyway, but an excellent thing. And it's also quite nice to see things like adverts for the action pack #1 and stuff like that, because it kind of just shows you how well the system as a whole has been curated. We're still producing action packs, we're still producing journals, and we are so lucky to have this kind of content available for the game. It's still being produced. So
it is very high quality. And some of those playthroughs, the detail, the amount of time that goes into playing, perhaps quite a meaty scenario, having photographs of it, discussing and showing every single move and every single thing that the people are doing. Huge amount of work.
And they're generally played at a very high level as well, aren't they? They're played by two good players. They had excellent narrators in between, like the neutral commentary.
Yeah. The Weather Outside is Frightful by Tim Hunsdorf that we mentioned. It's all about ice and snow. I think basically it's all about sort of winter weather, and he's got a bit there where he goes through the phases of the game, so that you can see exactly how it impacts in the movement phase or the prep fire phase, the route phase, etc. And I thought that was a really clever way of doing it, actually.
Yeah, very good. All right, so you're number 2.
Well, that was my number 2, Dave.
Oh, it was number 2 as well. Okay, we both had 96, did we? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
so we're going to find out what our top one is then. Yeah.
Let's go for it. Number 1. What's number 1?
Drum roll. 95.
Number 95. Yeah, ASL 95. So
full of juiciness.
Now, it absolutely was. So they did a double issue because they didn't produce one in 94. Now the 95 annual is a bit problematic in that it had more errata and more problems with it than any of the other annuals, but it also had probably the best scenarios in terms of the ones that have stood the test of time. Arguably, you'll recognise a lot of these scenarios. They're kind of certainly they've been reprinted and they've been updated. Your pack, Martin, had been updated. We checked that the scenarios have all had the errata.
They've had the errata incorporated, So if you buy it online now, you get the corrected versions,
the best
which is
of
I
both
think a
worlds,
big selling point, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about, what was your thoughts about 95?
Okay, well, the first thing is there's a little bit of a feature on parachute drops, which I'm kind of like really... I mean, we have played a parachute drop a long time ago. I'm really keen to have a go at again at some point soon, especially as it's one of the sort of slightly more esoteric elements of ASL. But they've got two scenarios in that annual: Night Drop, which I hadn't heard of actually, and Hide and Seek. So I think it'd be kind of. And of course, they've also got sort of Night Drop as well. Sorry, Mike Red, which is the Seaborne Assaults. They've got quite a few of these kind of like slightly unusual types of scenarios, or less common types of scenarios. That's one of the things that struck me looking at it. Yeah.
The unfortunate deluxe overlays that they printed on the like kind of the fake front cover were all the wrong size. They've been reprinted somewhere else, I think. But the poor guys really couldn't get anything right with this one. But having said that, it's nearly 100 pages of just ASL content. There's no squad leader anymore. Gentle Art of Routing was an excellent article, which is pretty much.
And I think people find, like new players, find routing one of the more difficult things to get right all the time. And we still argue about routing, now, don't we? After all these years. So that's a really, really good article. And actually, the campaign game leaders is for leaders is in 95.
Right. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole stuff. Winter Goetta is probably one of the most popular scenarios in there. Acts of Defiance is in there. There's a whole bunch, and I think that some of these have been reprinted from maybe Critical Hit and stuff like that. So that, from the early days of Critical Hit, where there was some some good scenarios from those guys as well. But as a whole, some really strong stuff. The analysis of various scenarios.
Last of their strength is a detailed discussion, I think.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I think
and the detail and the series replay is a detailed series replay of Festival.
I've still got the original price for $24.98 was on this one from King's Hobby. But yeah, excellent. So I think in terms of like, if you can pick up the annuals if you haven't already, or if you were thinking about doing it, I think it's definitely worth doing, and a worthwhile purchase. We should definitely play more scenarios from.
Absolutely. So you're saying that was $24 for just that annual, and it's now you can have all of them for $40.
Yeah.
I think if you need them, if you haven't got them, I think it's well worth it. Very well spent $40, I'd say.
Exactly. All right, so let's talk about the scenario we played. So Red Factory, Red Barricades number 3. So here we are. I've got a board up here now, Martin. If you can see that as well.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about your setup. First of all, we can talk about the scenario feature conditions, I suppose, to start with. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting scenario. So you see the Russians there setting up in quite a confined area, and the two buildings in F42, and there's another building in G43.
Yep.
So F43, G43. The Germans have to control those at the end of the game. I think that's essentially the victory conditions, isn't it?
Yep, that's right.
You've got the groups setting up directly across the road in E44, F44, etc. And there is a chance, in fact, there's a near certainty at some point in the scenario that the 9-2 leader that's set up in there, is it 9-1 leader?
9-1. Yep.
9-1 leader will go berserk and take everybody he's stacked with him, and they'll just charge into those buildings.
Yep.
So they've got a reasonably good chance, I think, of taking the buildings off the Russians. You've got the wall, which makes it a bit easier for you to sort of assault move, into the road and things like that. Then you've got this much bigger force, haven't you, on the other side that are coming in, sweeping in to help out. And really, both of us have got reinforcements. I think the Germans first and the Russians come on a bit later.
Yep.
And my idea really was that I would probably at some point lose control of the two buildings, and that I'd have to recapture them. So I've got I'm not sure whether people can see, but I've got a 447 with a light machine gun in each of those buildings.
In F42. So we can't see that, but yeah.
Okay. So the trench, the idea of the trench is that if the unit in G43 breaks, that he could potentially, route back to H41, where I've got the commissar in the cellar. And there's a couple of other units. There's another unit in G41 in the cellar. He could potentially recycle kind of thing, go back, move back over. The big fire group with a heavy machine gun and two squads on level 1 with a 9-1 leader of H41. So the idea of them is to just make it as difficult as possible for people, sort of coming from sort of the left-hand side there. And I've also got a medium machine gun in G41 at the ground level. Also similar sort of similar task to fire anything sort of crossing that sort of D hex road. Right. But also there's one on the top floor, another 458 with a medium machine on the top floor. The idea is to protect against anything coming through the gully.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think you can potentially move into F30 without being seen, because you've got the cliff there, haven't you? And G39.
Yep.
But when you move into H30, I think that you potentially be seen from anybody on level 1 in
Right.
that big building
Right.
there.
Exactly.
Also got a HIP unit, the HIP squad in I-44 in the rubble.
Okay.
I'm just thinking that at some point the Germans might hit H-44 or H-43, trying to sort of flank the building. And the anti-tank gun is just simply fires up. So it's in I-43. Potentially can fire at the two. Well, at G43, the victory condition buildings, if the Germans control it, but also fires up that road over the trench.
Yep.
An access of advance that the Germans are almost certain to use to some extent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it really. That's the plan.
Yep.
So hold you up, but retake the buildings, because I'm sort of expecting to lose control of them at some point.
Yep. So my plan really was to be very wary of the 9-1 going berserk. So I wasn't going to have a big stack with him just in case he went crazy. And the plan really is to prep fire a couple of turns. We're going to either assault move in if we get a chance, or if we do manage to break these guys. I've got a set of dummies up in C39 whose plan is to come through the culvert and just try to deflect a little bit of fire from the main kill stacks here, and hopefully break the guys in G41 for a slow advance across, and then take these buildings and then protect the victory buildings. That's the plan. Let's see what happened, Martin.
Okay.
So I guess we start with a big prep fire, and I do well with a 3 on my first
Are
prep
you
fire
clicking
shot.
through, Dave?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm not seeing that, so I need to resync to you.
So yeah, so I get a 3, strip concealment of the F42 guys, and your first roll, Martin, was a double 6,
Brilliant.
which I was more than happy with. Thinking, okay, well, that was enough really for me to start pushing. You can see that we've now started pushing into the road. You are holding your fire. I start moving the dummies under the culvert. They're not under a cellar, but it's the closest counter we could find at the time. And then you start to open fire with some good rolls, and I get better with my rolls. So the gun opens fire. And
malfunctioned.
Yes. Yeah, we had plenty of double 6s going on there.
I was able to route into the road because we had because there's no quarter, isn't there?
That's right. Yes, exactly. So I've gone into close combat, and like at the end of the first turn, here we've got a close combat, which if I get lucky, then I stand a chance of kind of taking both buildings on the first turn. You ambush me.
Yeah.
And you kill me, which is a little bit disappointing, but
it's looking very dodgy for me staying in that building much longer, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got the demo charge ready to go. Okay, and you pull back out. You do a bit of skulking here. There's a little bit of changing of the squads around.
Yeah.
Now the problem I have here is that my dummies can't really come out of this culvert without getting seen or anything, and I'm still thinking at this point that the cliff wouldn't affect the line of sight. Of course, it would do. So I just
realised later, that they could have got a bit further, couldn't they? Could have moved another couple of hexes, perhaps.
So I start bringing on some reinforcements. And we do some opportunity fire in here just in case we're going to get some more stuff to shoot at. The reinforcements are coming on, and it's looking, I think, quite good for me right now.
It's looking very good for you at the moment, yeah.
So a whole bunch of prep fire, final firing from you, and suddenly my my kill stack is looking absolutely broken. So every one of those guys now is broken in there. But not to worry. We do a bit of shuffling around.
That did make me feel a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. And we were talking about this point. So I managed to break your leader here. We were talking about the
Yes.
point here that this game is almost decided by these two kill stacks. Really,
Yeah.
whoever gets the best roll once we get going is
Yeah.
going to look okay. So yeah, I had a 166 on the rally there. So we kind of struggled a little bit.
I think I made a mistake of this time by not DMing that kill stack as well, because I think I can still get a shot at them over in that building.
Yep. You jump into some close combat here with your
That was because I went berserk.
Yeah,
My broken conscript half squad.
That's right.
Went berserk. Yeah.
Which we found out was possibly the worst heat of battle modifiers you could possibly get. The broken Russian conscript guy. He gets into close combat, and we'll see how he gets on, which is not very well.
That's right.
That's where we were. So now at this point, I've got both buildings.
Yeah.
So we're kind of feeling like that's like a decent chance of victory here. You've now got to get these back off me, and not only that, I've got kill stack's back, and I've got reinforcements on the building.
And you found out that your dummy stack could move down the gully a bit further.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. Now I don't know. Did you know these were dummies all the way along?
I guessed that they were dummies, but I wasn't sure. So I did think I had to have something up on the top floor just in case. But it seemed being on the top floor wasn't a bad place to be anyway. So
right,
I don't think it adversely affected me that much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So we can see. Okay, so at this point now, what I do is throw the 9-1 leader into close combat because he's a liability. Every turn you roll a dice and you see whether he will go berserk, and he gets more and more likely as the game goes on.
That's right.
So at this point, it had to be just kind of get some use out of him.
Sacrifice him.
Yeah, exactly, just to stop him grabbing everybody with him. Okay, so the 9-1, he's close combat. He's going to almost certainly end in tears. But again, I mean, I have both buildings now.
Yeah.
Your reinforcements are coming on. This, to me, I felt that this was like at this point, I think this is an 80-20 chance of winning this game, I think, for the Germans.
It was quite interesting bringing on the reinforcements, actually, because it's a little bit of a puzzle how to get them into the battle. Actually, you can see that group there. That CX that's the better of the force with the 8-0 leader, so they can double time and get a decent sort of way. In fact, if you click through, you'll see where they get to. Yeah. And then I think next turn they can sort of be relevant. But the conscripts, I have to think very carefully about them. But they're going to go a slightly different route, and they're going to just about be relevant by the end.
Right, exactly. Get a little bit of a break on a couple of your guys, but
I've got the gun back as well.
Yes, the gun goes back. Another double sixes for you there.
Yes.
Then you get some good rolls on your pin check. I think that we had in there. And then you start to break everything in the buildings. You're able to do some decent fire with a heavy machine gun.
And a real rate of fire tear.
That's right. Yeah, I think it's coming up.
Yeah.
So there's a double six in there. Yeah, it's the anti-tank gun you've broken.
Yeah, but really sort of struggling now in terms of you like getting into the big build, the building that's supporting any counterattack kind of thing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I managed to take a shot against your conscript guys there. We have a quick rules check to make sure that when you're bypassing, you do get the built-in TEM.
Get the building,
which is good.
Because this is the other problem with moving this force in is that you can obviously fire at some of the hexes. I'd quite like to be moving down to get into the battle. Mm.
Yeah, but you get through them.
Yeah.
All
I think
okay.
that one's pinned, isn't it? That last one.
that last one got pinned. Yep.
Which this late in the game is almost as good as a KIA.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So so we're on turn 4 here, and it's still looking quite good. And yet we've got you.
I'm back in the building, aren't I?
You're back in the building, exactly. And you've got all these conscripts are actually looking pretty dangerous. So where my reinforcements were sort of looking quite good behind the wall here, ready to jump in, suddenly them being flanked and having next to no TM. These guys have got wall advantage, so no TM for the shell holes.
That's right.
And suddenly it's looking quite tricky for the Germans here.
Yeah.
So flicking through, we get a melee going on here. We're looking at some close combat here.
I think you're still feeling good because you're the one who's going to reinforce that, aren't you? Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
It's my turn. My turn 5. And I'm able to kind of put some pressure. Now these guys here are just putting pressure on your kill stacks, or what were your kill stacks, just to try to prevent you firing into the
I'm really suffering actually with losing firepower, because I think I've the medium machine gun at the top isn't manned anymore. The medium machine gun on the ground floor in G41 was malfunctioned for quite a long time.
Yep.
That's back now.
Yeah. You break the guys in F40. I've got a pinned leader, so now I've only got a half squad that can jump in, but I'm hoping that will be good enough in there to perhaps tie you up. I reinforce the melee. And quite significantly, just to try to get that 3-1 here.
Yeah.
You rolled double 1 in the melee, which is brutal because I'd rolled an 8.
It's hand to hand, isn't it? Yeah.
So no, it wasn't hand to hand at this point. So I needed 8 to casually reduce you.
Right.
I was 3-1. I decided not to go for hand to hand. So not only did the 8 not kill you, but you generated the leader as well.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And suddenly I'm down to less than 2-1.
Yeah. And bizarrely, I'm in one of the buildings, which I wasn't expecting at all. Just a turn earlier.
Exactly. So you're able to break my guys in the back of the reinforcements, and you've got in your H41, which has been a great stack. Just decimates these guys here. I do get a hero out of it, but it's turn 5, and it's looking very
really
tough
my
now.
counter-attack is just beginning to sort of gain pace, isn't it? And you broke that last squad in F42, and it starts to look really difficult for you.
Exactly that. So suddenly now you're able to get around the broken guys
And there's almost nothing that can fire down that road. It was just bizarre. Your force literally seemed to almost melt away.
Yep, exactly.
Under the low rolls of a heavy machine gun.
Yep. And suddenly now, from what was looking fairly strong, has completely crumbled. You're in melee here. There's nothing really that can stop you jumping back into this F42 building. I need some big luck, really.
You do, really, yeah.
Didn't get a lot there. I needed to get someone adjacent so I could get into this F42. Have to get them there, because otherwise you will just advance in for the game. You pin me here, which is a disaster. This is turn 6 now, so this is my last turn.
Yeah.
And your last shot is good enough from your from your large guys.
Because you needed to control both buildings. So even if you win the melee
exactly
and survive my turn, it's not enough to win, is it? So,
no, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I can't survive the melee and get into F42. So best case is I win this melee, but I can't stop you effectively just jumping into F42, and you win the game.
It was brutal, wasn't it? It was very brutal at the end, I thought, for you, and I mean, I think it's the strength of the scenario is that the Germans are clearly attacking, but the Russians attack in the second half. But it really didn't look like I could recount those buildings at all without amazing luck.
Yeah.
And the dice went my way, didn't they? Just
it did feel like it was. It all hinged on a really good rate of fire from that heavy machine gun. But at the same time, I mean, I thought I had good luck at the start of the game, and I was able to get in. I don't know whether I needed to rely on the leader to perhaps charge into your bigger stacks towards the end of the game to help disrupt those guys. But it felt like, with your reinforcements coming on, it was going to be a difficult place to hold. But really nice scenario, really good fun, and well played. So you snuck on back there.
It certainly could have gone either way, couldn't it? In the end, it doesn't look very close, does it? But it could easily have gone the other way. I think a turn earlier.
Yeah, I think I had won that 3-1 melee and had the firepower to then resist the conscripts. I think that's where it flipped. But much like when you lost your 3-1 melee in Urban Guerrillas, you always feel like a 3-1 should be a dead cert, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
And yet it's still 8s to have an effect, which is not.
It's very easy to roll higher than an 8, and an 8 only casualty reduces something. So.
Exactly. So that was a good game, and I enjoyed it. I think it was good to have like a nice tight little tactical scenario rather than more one that featured more heavily.
It's almost ASL its best, I think, on this scale. This sort of tight. I mean, because this was originally a deluxe scenario, I think, wasn't it?
Is that right? Okay, yeah.
I think it's been adapted to fit the real map, the Red Barricades map. I think it was originally which is why it's such a short distance in terms of hexes. When you've only really got to advance 2 hexes, haven't you?
Okay.
In this,
right.
But nonetheless, awful lot going on. Very very interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. So what's next then, Martin? What do we fancy playing next?
Well, I don't know, because I've got so many ideas now. I don't know what we're going to do next. Did we did discuss it before, didn't we?
Well, we said potentially open it up for a poll as to whether we should play something from one particular annual. There's, I mean, arguably the best scenario that I think we've played is Cold Crocodiles from the annual. And that might be one that we could play.
Which annual is it in? Do you remember? Off the top of your head,
if only there was a website. I could tell us. Hang on a second.
What if we did a deep dive into one of the annuals?
Okay.
And played one of the scenarios.
Okay. Well, so it's annual number 90, annual 1990.
Okay.
That's
very early, yeah.
Yeah. So we could certainly have a look at, for example, that one, and play through Cold Crocodiles, but talk about that whole annual as well. If you fancy doing that.
We got the 8 Steps to ASL is in that one, the programmed instruction approach. There's a series replay on Kamzin. Giving it your best, a checklist for direct fire in ASL. That might be quite an interesting article.
They had the silly article, didn't they? They had the silly dog counter.
Yes.
And that and the bagpipes one. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for bad humour. I mean, my life is around bad humour, but I don't know whether it's got and I'm pleased they don't do it anymore. It's, that always feels like a little bit... But so do you fancy... Okay, so should we fancy taking a good look at this and playing Cold Crocodiles next time?
Yeah. I'm up for that.
All right then. Well, that's That's a deal. Let's do it. Let's do. Do you want to pick a side now so we can get some preparation in?
I don't. Should we toss a dice? Should we roll a dice?
Yes.
Do you know? Okay. Well, I've got a little website here.
Okay.
I'm going to roll one dice.
Yep.
And 1 to 3.
Yep.
You are the defending Germans.
Okay.
And checking your browser before accessing random.org. It's a 4. Another 4. So you are the attacking British.
Brilliant. That's what I wanted. Okay. All right.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I love the British.
We didn't have to.
No, I don't want to be. I don't want to be. You're British too. You're allowed to. You're allowed to pick the British. All right then. Okay. Good stuff. So you will prepare a setup.
Yeah.
And as with always with Cold Crocodiles, we should remind you that you cannot hip your guns in a road hex, an orchard road.
Yes.
That's the one thing that people do on Cold Crocodiles. I think that's.
Oh right. Okay. All right. Thanks for warning me about that.
That's all right.
Brilliant.
But yeah, other than that, okay. So let's look forward to playing that at some point, and we will get another episode out shortly.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous about doing another live episode whilst our internet is still not great.
Yes.
It's a little bit frustrating that we can't.
I don't think we quite got the tech right, have we? So I think we'll do this the normal way.
We need better internet connectivity, I think. But we'll see. I could drop the quality down some more and go down to kind of 720, but I don't know how good that would be. So we'll have a think about it. But in the meantime, we'll play Cold Crocodiles, and that will be next week's episode. Next episode.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, I guess, to all our patrons.
Yep.
We are always grateful, and we will do another draw for something next week for everybody.
Yeah.
Anything else, Martin, from you?
And thank you to everybody else as well. Thank you to those that watch and subscribe and give us thumbs up as well.
Yep.
Those sorts of people.
Yep. Should give a shout out to the ASL in real time guys. They did Guards Counterattack. So having a bit of a chat to them on their live stream they did this week, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
So and again, Guards Counterattack's another game that we should do again, just because it's. I did get a little bit nostalgic for it. It did. I definitely have enjoyed playing that as well before. So yeah, simpler times, big fire groups, 2 hexes to move. That's life's good. All right, Martin. Well, thanks very much. Yeah. Thanks for the game. Well played this time, and we'll see you again next time. Take care.
Cheerio. Bye.